Take a look at some of these wide receivers. You know, I never played the quarterback position, so I like to live vicariously through Coach Billick and Daniel Jeremiah. If you're out there slinging that rock around and you need someone to catch a pass and a touchdown for you, all three of these guys, well, they were up to said task. Randy Moss, Terrell Owens, and Isaac Bruce. You see the numbers from all three quite similar, except when it comes to touchdowns. But at the end of the day, when all the dust settles, guys, Coach, how do you see this shaking out?
Well, you know, my bias is obvious. Randy was with me his rookie years. When you look at this, you can look at it in reverse order. Do any of these guys not belong in the Hall of Fame? Well, no, they all do. So that's the difficult thing right now. For me, Randy Moss is someone what separates him beyond my particular bias. I will say this. I've been at this game, man and boy, for about 45 years. We've never seen a talent like Randy Moss, nor will we ever see size, jumping ability, hands, speed, the complete package. Not that the other guys aren't, but this is such a unique talent that, to me, that's Hall of Fame worthy.
Yeah, especially when you're playing Madden. It's not called getting TO'd or getting bruised. It's called getting mossed, DJ. Absolutely.
Yeah, there you go. Look, to me, it seems like there's been so much attention, especially with T.O., talking about what kind of teammate he was. And I want to take a step back and say, look, I was never on a team, didn't work for a team that he was on. But I can tell you about what it was being like trying to prepare a team, putting scouting reports together for a team that featured him and how challenging that was to go up against T.O. And the same, obviously, for Randy. I think both those guys should be, and I think T.O. should already be in. I think Randy, to me, is a first ballot Hall of Famer. So we focus so much on the teammate side. How do you like playing against these guys? It wasn't fun.
That's a good point. Now, when it comes to all the extracurricular, we know that Terrell Owens likes to dabble in that. How much, Coach, will that potentially hurt his chances?
You know, where do you draw that line? And what, to me, I don't think you can go there, because at the end of the day, there's a lot of people probably would not find their way. And there's so much more scrutiny now. Well, obviously, in the age we live, in the Twitter sphere, compared to maybe some of the earlier members in it. So, you know, unless there's just this egregious thing that you say, no, there's got to be an asterisk by this guy's name, it's not going to be there. I don't know that you can really go down that path, because I don't know where you draw that line in the sand.
Only one player with more receiving yards than Terrell Owens. That's the GOAT. Jerry Rice. Would it be a travesty, as some would say, if T.O. doesn't get in this time around?
Look, I think it's already a travesty, isn't it, at this point in time? I just think it's a no-brainer. And look, you want to start digging through locker room issues and all the other things that go along with it. Have fun. I think it's about what you do on the football field. That's my opinion. And I think when you watched him play the game of football for a prolonged period of time, he was at the elite level, and he was a Hall of Famer, in my opinion.
Now, we talked a little bit earlier right here on Super Bowl Live to our guy Steve White. Of course, he's on the scene. He said that Isaac Bruce has that Super Bowl ring, Coach, but sometimes not a determining factor. We see those stats right there, Bruce trailing Moss and Owens when it comes to the touchdown category.
Yeah, and I don't know what that criteria is.
Yeah.
You know, like when we talk about the greatest quarterbacks of all time, and you start to get into that, then at some point, say a Dan Marino, a Warren Moon, who I had and absolutely loved, it's okay, they don't have the Super Bowl ring. Well, okay, well, tell me that up front. We can end this we can narrow this conversation right now if we're saying they have to have that champion. That's dependent, obviously, on where they've been. So as much as that might be a factor, and it's hard not to, I don't know how it becomes a major criteria when you're choosing the Hall of Fame.
Yeah, Isaac Bruce, the only of those three receivers, of course, with that Super Bowl ring. Any dark horses you see that are among those nominees, the candidates of 2018 to get in, DJ?
Well, look, I know he didn't have a long career, but I don't know there are many guys that dominated like Tony Baselli dominated for that period of time when he was healthy and on the football field. I definitely think he was a Hall of Fame player. Now, you have the criteria, how long you need to do it for, that's up for them to debate in the room. But talent-wise, Coach, I thought he was a Hall of Famer.
I'm going to go to a position that's so hard when you talk about Brian Dawkins and John Lynch. And in particular, again, my bias, John, I was at Stanford with John. A guy like John Lynch, this is a perfect example of what we're talking about. Okay, you can look at the stats, and that's not necessarily a stat position. If you defined a position, to me, John Lynch defined and began the drop down in the box, physical safety. To me, that's a marker in the league. That's something I don't know how you factor it in and how much weight you put on that. Brian Dawkins, unbelievable player. There's very few players I have more respect for than Brian Dawkins. But a guy like John Lynch, to me, kind of defined, it's like a Chris Carter in the slot. To me, Chris Carter defined that slot position going forward that we have. It's replete in the NFL. A guy like John Lynch, which I don't know that's going to happen this year, but to me, a guy that defines the position in that way.
We are moments away from finding out who the 2018 enshrinees will be in the Professional Football Hall of Fame. Will there be one wide receiver, two, perhaps three? Well, only time will tell. We do know that the Walter Payton Man of the Year Award will be handed out, and the whole Payton family in attendance. You see Jared Payton right there, along with his sister and his mother, and the Minnesota Vikings and Case Keenum. Well, he's in attendance as well, hitting the red carpet prior to NFL honors. I wonder if Dave Damashek gave him a 24-pack of toilet paper to take into the whole pomp and circumstance. And Ms. Deion Sanders, Tracy Edmonds says, fighting the cold but staying warm next to my boo. You know, Tracy and Deion, they were dressed to impress, no doubt about that. NFL honors, it's inching closer by the second, 9 o'clock Eastern time. We're going to lead you up to the whole event. NFL